I used to love traveling alone. There's something freeing about having no one to answer to, no schedule to follow. Just me, my backpack, and whatever part of the world I chose to disappear into for a while. It made me feel strong, independent, untouchable even, but that feeling doesn't live in me anymore. Last fall, I went on a solo trip up through northern Washington. Nothing crazy, just a week of hiking, reading, and logging out of everything. Or at least that was the plan. Before I left, I posted a photo on Instagram. Me holding my packed bag, standing at the edge of my apartment doorway with the caption, "Going off the grid for a bit. See you on the other side, Victory." And looking back, that was the stupidest thing I could have done. I stayed in a remote cabin I found through a rental site. It was buried deep in the woods, miles away from the nearest town. No Wi-Fi, barely any cell service, and exactly what I thought I needed. The first few days were peaceful. I hiked during the day and read by the fireplace at night. I even kept my phone off for long stretches. It felt good, quiet. On the third night, I turned my phone back on just to check for messages. There were a few notifications, mostly comments on my last post. But one DM stood out. It was from someone I didn't recognize. No profile picture. Username was just a string of random letters and numbers. The message said, "Be careful. I see you." I stared at it for a while. At first I thought it was a joke, maybe someone trying to be funny or edgy. I didn't respond. I even laughed it off. But then I noticed something that made my stomach drop. Attached to the message was a photo. It was a picture of me, taken through the window of the cabin. I was sitting on the couch, reading, with my legs up and my back to the fireplace. The angle was from outside, in the dark. I hadn't left the cabin all day. I checked the timestamp. It had been sent 2 hours earlier. I jumped up and ran to the windows, yanking the curtains closed. My hands were shaking. Every part of me suddenly felt exposed, violated. I turned off the lights and just stood there in the dark for what felt like an hour, listening. The trees outside shifted in the wind. The cabin creaked. I didn't hear anything else. No footsteps, no voices. But that didn't make me feel better. I tried calling the local sheriff's office, but the call dropped within seconds. No signal. I typed out a message to a friend in Seattle, attaching the photo and my location, and hit send, but it sat there, unsent. A red exclamation point next to it, like a warning. I turned my phone off again. I didn't know what else to do. That night, I slept with a kitchen knife on the floor next to the bed. Every time a branch snapped outside, I woke up. By morning, I had convinced myself it was someone messing with me online. Maybe they found the rental listing and used an old photo of the cabin interior. That was possible, right? But when I went outside to check the perimeter, I found something in the dirt under the living room window. A single boot print. It hadn't rained in days. The soil was dry and hard. Whoever it was had been standing there, long enough to leave a deep imprint. And next to it, what looked like the faint edge of a tripod leg. I packed my bag that morning. I didn't even make coffee. I just got in my car and started driving back toward the highway. I figured once I got closer to town, I'd get signal again and call someone. When I finally got bars on my phone, I saw that the message to my friend had gone through. Relief hit me, but only for a second, because there was a new DM waiting. From the same account. Running won't help. I know where you're going. Attached was another photo. This one was taken from the side of the road, clearly shot through trees. It showed my car heading down the mountain road. From behind, I pulled over and threw up in a ditch. I don't remember much of the drive after that. Just trees. The curve of the road. My heartbeat slamming in my ears. When I got into town, I parked outside a diner and called the sheriff. A deputy came out and took my statement. I showed him the messages, the photos. He said they'd look into it, but admitted it was hard to trace burner accounts like that. No security cameras out there. No way to know who had been watching me. I stayed at a motel that night, too afraid to drive all the way home. I double-locked the door and kept the lights on. I didn't sleep. When I finally got back to my apartment the next day, I deleted my Instagram. Wiped all my accounts. I thought that would be the end of it. But it wasn't. 2 weeks later, a package arrived at my door. No return address. Inside was a manila envelope containing a stack of printed photographs. All of me. Different moments. Different outfits. All clearly taken without my knowledge. There was one of me in the grocery store, staring at a shelf. One of me unlocking my apartment door. Another of me asleep in bed. That one made me scream. It had been taken from inside my room. I went to the police again. They said without a clear suspect or any evidence of forced entry, there wasn't much they could do. They suggested I install cameras, change my locks, stay with someone for a while. I did all of that, but I knew deep down it wouldn't matter. Whoever this person was, they didn't need to break in. They were already inside my life. I changed phones, got a new number, moved across the city. I didn't post online for months. And for a while, things got quiet. I started to feel normal again. Until last night. I was looking through my closet, getting ready for bed, when I noticed something taped to the inside of the top shelf. A small piece of paper, yellowed at the edges. Just 4 words written in neat, blocky handwriting. I never logged out. Story 2. I've never really been a paranoid person. I lock my doors. I don't post my address online. I do all the right things. I work in IT, so I'm pretty cautious with my digital footprint. But what happened to me earlier this year made me realize that no matter how careful you think you are, someone who wants to find you badly enough will. It started with a notification. Just a little ping on my phone while I was brushing my teeth one morning. I glanced down and saw something weird. One item added to weekend memories. At first, I thought it was a work thing. Maybe someone shared a photo from our last team event. I tapped it out of idle curiosity. But when I opened the shared album, my stomach dropped. The photo was of me. Not like a selfie or something I forgot taking. It was a full body shot, from behind, clearly taken at night. I was walking through a parking garage, keys in one hand, my other hand on my bag strap. The timestamp said it was taken the night before, but I didn't hear or see anyone behind me. It looked like it was taken from far away, maybe with a zoom lens. There was no one listed under the album sharing info, just shared with you. I deleted it, assuming maybe it was some glitch, a synced photo that ended up in the wrong place somehow. But it stuck with me all day. That night, around 2 a.m., I woke up to another notification. Same thing. One item added to weekend memories. This time, I opened it immediately. There were 3 new photos. All of me, all in my apartment. One was through the living room window. Another was of me sitting on the couch watching TV again, taken from behind. The last one was the worst. A photo of me asleep in bed. My face partially turned to the camera. Flash off. Close. Too close. I live alone. My windows were locked. My door had a deadbolt. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I stayed on the phone with Apple support, trying to figure out how someone could have shared an album with me like that. They couldn't give me a clear answer. They just told me how to disable shared albums and advised me to change my passwords. I did all of it, changed everything, deleted my iCloud account, even replaced my phone the next day. But the album came back. 2 nights later, same notification. 3 items added to weekend memories. Same name, same photos, but now there were videos. The first one was a 5-second clip of me pouring coffee that morning from outside the kitchen window. The second was of me walking into my building. The third was the most disturbing, a shaky, slow zoom in on my bedroom window. My silhouette moved behind the curtains. I called the police. They came, took my statement, walked through my apartment. They checked the windows and locks. Nothing broken. No signs of forced entry. The officer, a younger guy, tried to reassure me. He said it could be someone with a long lens, maybe a neighbor. Said they'd keep an eye out. But that night, another video appeared. And this time, it had sound. It started with nothing but darkness. Then light footsteps, gravel crunching. The camera raised slowly, showing my apartment building from across the street. The lens zoomed in on my window, and then I heard it. My voice. Faint, but there. I was talking on the phone with my sister earlier that evening. I said something stupid about not sleeping well. I recognized the exact sentence. The audio wasn't from outside. It was coming from inside my apartment. I tore the place apart, checked every vent, every light fixture, pulled drawers out, looked under the bed, behind furniture. I didn't find anything, but I could feel it. That sense that someone had been here, that they still might be. The next day, I left. Took time off work, stayed with my cousin across town. I didn't tell her everything, just said I had a stalker situation, needed to lay low. She was cool about it, gave me space, let me stay in the guest room. That night, I turned off my phone completely, stuffed it in a drawer. No notifications, no albums, just sleep. Around 3 a.m., I woke up to movement in the hallway. Light footsteps. I sat up, holding my breath. The sound moved past my door. I heard the kitchen faucet turn on for a second, then off. I got up slowly, opened the door, heart hammering. My cousin stood in the kitchen in her pajamas, staring at the sink. She looked at me and whispered, "Did you just check the album?" I blinked. "What?" She held up her phone. One item added to weekend memories. There was a photo of me sleeping in her guest room. We both left that night, moved to a hotel, got burner phones, filed a police report together. This time, they seemed to take it more seriously. There was clearly a pattern. Someone following me, tracking me, hacking into my devices, maybe even more than that. They asked if I'd noticed any strange devices or if anyone could have had access to my apartment before this started. That's when I remembered something. 2 weeks before the first photo, my landlord had installed a new smoke detector in my unit. Said it was routine. He was in there for less than 10 minutes. I didn't think anything of it at the time. When I told the detective, they sent someone to retrieve it. Inside the detector, hidden behind the casing, was a micro camera with a Bluetooth signal range. Not cloud-based. It was syncing directly to a nearby device. That's why the photos kept showing up. They weren't being sent to my phone. They were being dropped into the album from another device nearby, within range. They never found who planted it. My landlord claimed he hired a third-party maintenance guy who was now unreachable. No name, no contact info, nothing. I moved again. Different state this time. New name on everything. I don't post online anymore. Don't use cloud services. I cover every camera in my house. I don't even own a smart TV. I thought I was safe again. I tried to believe I had outrun it. But last week, at 1:14 a.m., my new phone lit up beside my bed. One item added to weekend memories. It was a photo of my new house, taken from the woods behind it. Story 3. I've never really been into Facebook Marketplace, but I was in the middle of moving, and I figured it might be a cheap way to get rid of some stuff before the movers came. Mostly smaller things, a couple chairs, some dishes, maybe my coffee table if someone offered enough. One night, I was scrolling through the app, just kind of half-browsing while watching a movie, when I saw something that made my heart stop. It was a listing for a mattress. The title was just "Clean Mattress," used clean. Pretty standard. But the photo was the problem. It was my room. Not a room like mine, my actual bedroom. My bed. My headboard. My floral comforter. Same scuff mark on the wall behind the nightstand. Everything. The picture had been taken from the far corner of the room, near the closet. A low angle, like someone crouched down and snapped it quickly. I stared at it for a long time. The listing had no price, no location, just a single image and an empty profile. The seller's name was just a first name, Mark, and no photo, no friends, nothing but the word "active now." I reported it to Facebook and flagged the listing as stolen content, thinking maybe someone found one of my older apartment tour photos online or something. I even deleted a bunch of older posts just to be safe. It creeped me out, but I didn't really know what else to do. The next day, the listing was gone. I figured that was that. Then, 2 days later, a new listing popped up, this time for a used nightstand. Same vague title, no price, and another photo from inside my apartment. This one was worse. It showed my bedroom door half open, a little sliver of the hallway, my shoes on the rug by the edge of the bed. I hadn't posted that photo. No one else had access to my place. I live alone. I clicked on the profile mark. Still no friends. Still no info. Still showing active now. I stared at that status for a long time. I watched it flicker between active 1 minute ago and active now always when I opened the app. Almost like whoever it was watching me open it. That night, I didn't sleep. I pushed a chair up under the doorknob, left the lights on, walked the apartment 5 times checking every lock. Nothing looked disturbed. No signs of forced entry. But that didn't mean anything, did it? The next morning, I went through the listing again. The nightstand photo was still up. I opened it on my computer this time to zoom in. And that's when I noticed something else. In the reflection of the TV screen, barely visible, there was a shape. Someone crouching, facing away, like they had just snapped the photo and were turning to leave. I called the non-emergency police line. Told them someone had broken in and taken photos, probably to mess with me. An officer came by, looked around, took a statement, but said without physical evidence there wasn't much they could do. I asked if they could trace the account. They said Facebook wouldn't hand over that info without a warrant. So I bought a camera. One of those motion sensor ones you can sync to your phone. I set it up in the corner of my room, aimed toward the door. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't even mention it in texts. I wanted to see if anything weird happened while I was at work. For 3 days, nothing. Then on Thursday, I came home to find the camera turned. It was facing the wall, not unplugged, not broken, just turned to face the drywall like someone had rotated it quietly and left it there. I checked the footage on the app. The last video clip was timestamped 3:47 p.m. It showed my bedroom empty. Then, a faint movement, the doorknob turning, slowly, and then the screen went black. It wasn't until I was going through my closet that I found the final straw. A shoebox on the top shelf, where I kept old photos and a few documents, had been moved. The lid was off. Inside was a folded piece of paper that definitely hadn't been there before. It was a printout of the latest marketplace listing. A photo of my living room this time, taken from the hallway. I moved out that night. Didn't even sleep there. I stayed with a coworker who owed me a favor and told her everything. We spent hours going through every item I owned, checking for hidden cameras or AirTags. Nothing. Nothing I could find. Anyway, the only lead I had was the Facebook profile. And here's the part that still makes my skin crawl. About a week later, after I'd moved into a new unit with way better security, I logged into Facebook again to delete my account. I was done. I was over it. But before I closed it for good, I searched for the profile one last time. I expected it to be gone. It wasn't. The name had changed. So had the photo. The profile now showed my name. And the photo was of me. One of the old ones from my apartment, where I'm sitting at my desk, smiling slightly at the camera. But I never took it. And I don't remember smiling. Story 4. I started working remotely in 2020, like a lot of people. Over time, I got used to the routine. Slack messages, Zoom calls, long stretches of quiet. I actually grew to like it. I live alone in a small one-bedroom apartment just outside Denver. It's quiet. Safe. Or at least, I thought it was. About 6 months ago, I started going back through some old Zoom recordings for a quarterly report. I handle client relations, so I record everything for documentation. Normally, I never rewatch these unless I absolutely have to. But that week, I had to transcribe parts of a March call to confirm some project changes. It was a standard team check-in. For of us, all at home. Everyone muted unless they were speaking. I scrubbed through the video at double speed until I got to the part one needed. Then I heard something odd. It was faint, almost like a whisper. So soft I thought it was interference. I slowed it down, replayed it. The sound was breathing. Heavy, slow breathing, like someone standing too close to a mic. But all 4 of us were muted at that moment, and the breathing was only coming from my feed. My name lit up in the corner. Then came something worse. The creak of a door opening. Then footsteps, soft, deliberate. I paused the video. I was home alone when I recorded that call. I remember it clearly because I was working from the kitchen table. I hadn't left the apartment all day, and my apartment is small. If someone had been there, I would have seen them. I tried to brush it off. Maybe some weird mic artifact or audio that got glitched into the file somehow. But it stuck with me. I went back and listened again, this time with headphones. It was definitely inside my place. The breathing got closer until it sounded like it was right next to the mic. Then for just a second, I heard what sounded like a faint exhale and the slightest sound of a voice. Not words. Just presence. A throat clearing, maybe. Then silence. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, I went back through a few more recent recordings, mostly out of paranoia. And that's when I realized this wasn't a one-time thing. It was in other calls, too. Always when I was muted. Always subtle. A breath here, a footstep there. Once, I heard the faint squeak of the floorboard behind my couch, the one that always groans when I step on it. Sometimes it was so quiet I almost missed it. Other times, it felt like someone was just out of view, circling me. One of the videos from a client kickoff meeting a few weeks earlier had something even more disturbing. I was speaking during this one, explaining a timeline. And just for a second, while I was talking, my webcam glitched. It froze for maybe half a second, just long enough to make a weird blur. In the middle of the freeze frame, there was a shadow behind me, human-shaped, tall, gone when the video resumed. I felt sick, like my whole body dropped into my feet. I paused the playback and stared at the screen. Rewound. Paused again. The shadow wasn't there before the glitch. It wasn't there after. Just in that frozen second. And the thing that made my skin crawl the most, it was facing the camera, like it wanted me to know it had been there. I checked my locks. Installed a security cam in my living room. Bought one of those hotel door stoppers. I even slept with the lights on for a few nights. Nothing happened. Days went by. I tried to convince myself it was some kind of technical artifact, a messed up codec, or something. My rational brain was working overtime. But then something new happened. One morning, I logged into Zoom to prep for a call, and I noticed a meeting in my history that I didn't recognize. 3:17 a.m., 2 nights earlier. Title: Mic check. It had no attendees listed. Just me. I never started that meeting. I was asleep at that time. Alone. Or at least, I thought I was. The file had auto-recorded, which meant there was a video. I shouldn't have opened it. The screen was black for a while. No movement. Then, after about 30 seconds, something shifted, like a blur moving past the camera. A shape, just out of focus. It moved toward my bedroom door, paused, then backed away. No sound, no light, just a figure in the dark. Then the video glitched. And for a single frame, I swear it was only one frame, the camera lit up, like it had been forced on. Just enough to catch an image. Of me, asleep in bed, and something crouched on the floor at the foot of the mattress. Its face hidden in shadow, arms too long, watching me. I slammed the laptop shut. I couldn't breathe. I called the police. They came, searched everything. No signs of forced entry. The officer asked if maybe I had a nightmare and accidentally joined a call in my sleep. I showed him the footage. He said it looked edited. That was the word he used. Edited. But I didn't edit it. And even if I had, how would I fake that? They took a report. Nothing came of it. I moved out a week later. Started over. New apartment, new devices. I don't use Zoom anymore or any video calls. I keep tape over every camera lens I can find. I don't record anything. But sometimes, I still get a notification. A file saved to the cloud. Untitled. No timestamp. When I open it, there's no video. Just a few seconds of audio. Breathing. Closer than before.